Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over a question I get asked a lot, which is if AI automation agencies are saturated, if all the money is dried up in the space already. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Tommy Christ. I have successfully scaled my AI agency from nothing, now being very financially comfortable myself, as well as I'm helping other people scale their AI agencies in my own free community. And then I've also worked at an AI startup that helps AI agencies. So basically in this past year, all I've ever thought about are AI agencies. I've spent a lot of time in the space, both talking to founders in the space of agencies and startups, as well as content creators. I've seen every side of it. And this is a question that pops up again and again for really just people that want to get into the space, people who have seen online business. Maybe they have considered or tried drop shipping or SMMA and it failed, and they're looking for the one vehicle that's going to make them rich, like it did for me. And they find AI agencies and they think, hey, maybe these are saturated like dropshipping and SMMA are. And so in this video, I'm going to be going over what does saturation actually mean, where we're at with AI automation agencies, and specifically the chasm. We'll talk about that later, as well as how to make money with AI, even if it is saturated. So first up, what does saturation actually mean? Because you hear the term thrown out a bunch in the online business space. So let me just break it down real quick. First off, I think it's easier to understand what saturation really is when you talk about the misconceptions about saturation. First, competition does not mean that there's saturation in the space. Just because there's people doing the same thing and making money doesn't mean that there's no more opportunity for you to start in that space and start making money. And you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to have some big edge. You don't have to already know people. You can get started as a beginner, even if there's competition in a space. So one thing I see a lot of people is they watch a YouTube video. They see the YouTube video has like 50,000 views and they think 50,000 people are already out there making 10 grand a month and I can never do it myself. And the next point I have actually plays off of that. It's the conflict between perceived saturation, which is really just fear, versus actual saturation. Because you watch these YouTube videos that have 50, 100,000, maybe even 1 million views. But I make some of these videos, and let me tell you firsthand, if a video has 1 million views, I guarantee you 1,000 people or less that watch that video actually took real action. Say they watch a drop shipping video. I'd say maybe 2,000 people of 1 million actually make and sign up for like a Shopify store. I would bet under 1,000 of those 1 million viewers actually went and bought a domain, actually tried to sell their product, actually made content, actually bought ads, stuff like that. And so you're going to see, and I have seen, the exact same thing in the AI agency space. I get a video with thousands of views, and realistically, there's maybe 50 people of those thousands of views that actually take action. And one of them should be you, because, spoiler alert, that's not saturation. It's just perceived saturation. It's fear. It's you not wanting to take that step. Maybe because it costs money, maybe because it never worked in the past. But trust me, if it was actual saturation, prices would be dumped to the floor and people would be doing this work on Upwork for $10 an hour. And that's not the case right now. People are selling these AI solutions for thousands of dollars a month. And if it was saturated, that would not be the case. And then lastly, and this is a big point, is that only the early movers can succeed. So say you're watching this video in 6 months or a year from now, you think, man, I wish I knew about this opportunity earlier. Well, that's another misconception about saturation, that only people who get in early can succeed. It's the people that get in that second or third wave that really succeed, because they're able to learn from the mistakes of everybody else. And especially with the AI space, the software is developing at such a rate that what I was doing 6 months, especially a year ago, isn't even relevant today. And if I started today, I won't even be that far behind where I am right now, because if you're a quick learner and you're curious, the space is moving so fast that even established AI agency owners are trying to pick up new tricks, pick up new tools, and learning alongside you. So don't think that just because there's competition there's saturation. In fact, competition means there's profits to be made. Don't fall for the trap of perceived saturation or fear versus actual saturation. And don't think just because you're not the first one there that you can't succeed. And so now, after all of that, what actually is saturation? And to put it simply, saturation just means there's so much competition that there's pretty much no more money to be made for any new people, which is basically the prices are dumped to the floor. Think of a space that's heavily saturated like web browsers. It's completely free to use Google Chrome, DuckDuckGo, Bing, whatever. It's because the space is completely saturated. It's a bit different because they live off data, but those prices are literally free. They've been driven to the floor. And if AI agencies become saturated, that's the exact same thing you'll see. I don't think they will for a while. I also don't think dropshipping or SMMA is saturated. I think the barrier to entry is just higher. You have to be more talented to start. I also have a little PS that goes off of this, is that it actually takes a really long time for a market to truly saturate. I'm talking years and years. And AI automation agencies, realistically, have only existed for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And so what does this actually mean for AAAs or AI automation agencies? You might have heard me allude to it, but the short answer is no. This market is not saturated. And the long answer, which I'll get into in the next couple slides, is still no, except I have some statistics to show you. So where are we actually at with AAAs and the market? One graph here is from a book I love, which is called Crossing the Chasm. It's about startups and tech companies in Silicon Valley. And the idea of this chasm is here you have a bell curve. You can see it goes up and then down. On this bell curve, you'll notice there's separations between each of these little buckets here. And it goes from innovators to early adopters to early majority to late majority to laggards. And then they have different little names in here as well. And so each of these buckets represent, if there's a new technology, who's going to adopt it first? And it moves left to right. And you can see it's the early market and the mainstream market. And what you have here is the chasm, this fat little gap between the visionaries or the early adopters and the pragmatists or the early majority. And so this chasm is essentially what all big businesses and new tech has to cross, where it goes from people who generally like tech, are tech aligned, think younger people that are online a lot, and then the early majority, and then into the late majority would be maybe early people who don't use tech a whole bunch, or if you're thinking about businesses, those are local businesses, which make up the majority of businesses around the world, as well as more traditional businesses in older industries. Whereas the innovators and early adopters would be maybe online businesses like ourselves, or big tech businesses that are very in tune with what's going on in the tech space. I believe, and I don't even think it's close, that we're still in this early adopters phase and then crossing over the chasm right now. And so that means that not only are AI automation agencies not saturated, we only have about 15% of the market even know or be willing to adopt us. So if you're sending out cold outreaches to 100 qualified prospects, that means only 15% of the people you're talking to are even willing to adopt the technology you're pitching. But that's not a bad thing, because pretty soon, this entire market will open up, and that's a whole lot more money. Billions and billions of dollars are in this circle. It's not only not saturated, right now is possibly the best opportunity for you to get in because you have all the tools, there's a bunch of online resources, and we're about to cross this chasm into where the majority of businesses will be willing to adopt AI technology. Going off that a bit more, what happens when we cross the chasm? And the truth is that AI is so powerful, no business will have a choice. Everyone will need to adopt AI or they're gonna go out of business. And that's just a cold hard truth. It's that powerful. And so some stats here to back that up is that it's estimated that 95% of customer interactions will be powered by AI by 2025. And that 75% of businesses will adopt AI by 2025. So that's the early and late majority, everybody except for pretty much the skeptics. And that AI currently is having 38% compounding year-on-year growth. Like, that's a lot. If you look up other industries, nothing even compares to AI right now. And so what does this mean for you? This means, as I said, you are currently in a position to take advantage of the biggest opportunity you will see in your lifetime. Literally billions of dollars up for grabs for people like you and me. And here I have a little graphic of Lil Uzi Vert, but pretty soon that'll be you after you start your AI automation agency, standing on your money, and you'll be taller than the Burj Khalifa. And so let me talk a bit about the vehicles to actually take advantage of this opportunity. Now there's three main vehicles I see right now, and that's starting an AI automation agency, which can mean a variety of things. That doesn't mean you're just selling chatbots. Doesn't even necessarily mean you're just selling voice agents or chatbots. You could be selling AI software with platforms like Bolt.new. You could be selling AI content creation. Really, the world is your oyster, and the more creative you are, the better. Second, you could start a personal brand. Something like I'm doing right now has both benefited my AI agency as I get clients through YouTube videos like this, as well as I've gotten job offers to work with top startups in the space because they've seen my videos and I can demonstrate my expertise, as well as I'm able to start my own community and continue to learn along with you guys. And then lastly, as I sort of foreshadowed, you can build or work for an AI startup. Building a startup is a bit outside the scope of what I'm equipped to do, but there's plenty of resources out there. The Y Combinator YouTube channel is very good. However, just know if you want to build a startup, that's a very large undertaking compared to these other vehicles. Or you could work for a startup, especially if you're not ready to take on even starting your own agency at this point. Working for a startup is a great way, even if it's free, to get involved in the space, meet some really smart people, and possibly get some money before you're ready to take on expenses and outreach and everything that comes with starting an actual agency. You can sort of get the ropes if you work at a startup and you're eager and you're hungry. And now the best thing is to pair two or even all three of these together if you have the time, where if you have a personal brand, you're working or starting your own startup, as well as starting your own AI agency, and you can really seize the entire opportunity we have. And so what do each of these actually mean? The AI automation agency is simply just selling or building AI directly for a business. Again, I said that could be chatbots, that could be voice agents, that could be automations, that could be software. Next, personal brand is simply you're just going to teach people how to use these tools and how to use AI. One thing I'll mention for a personal brand is you only need to know a little bit more than someone to help them. And generally, it's actually better for you to know a little bit more than to know everything, because then you can speak to their level and their unique experiences way better than if, for example, Elon Musk was to start a YouTube video about how to make AI agencies. And then lastly, a startup. You could start or work for a company that uses AI in a product. A great way is to just reach out to startups that you see in Y Combinator or Product Hunt that you find interesting. Reach out to their founders. A lot of them are really cool people and are excited to work with young people, even if it's for free. Just get yourself exposed in the space. And then lastly, here are some tricks on if the space does eventually become saturated, how to avoid that and how to sort of prepare ahead of time. First, full stack solutions. If you could offer an end-to-end solution to a client, such as AI integration, instead of just creating a chatbot, if you can deploy it for them, if you could handle everything for them and handle maintenance, that's a great way to avoid saturation because you're differentiating yourself so much. Second is brand authority. Having a personal brand is huge. It doesn't have to be YouTube. It could be LinkedIn. It could be Twitter. It could be Instagram. It can be whatever. Just become the AI guy for X, for whatever niche, for real estate agents, for e-commerce companies, for plumbers. And that's a great way for you to avoid saturation, because if there's thousands of new AI agencies piling into the space, or even software solving that same problem, none of them will have the branding as being so specific for a niche, and that really stands out for customers. Lastly, just become indispensable. Continue to solve these post-deployment issues like training staff or data management, and offer to help way beyond just the initial thing you build for a client. This way, you can keep that monthly retainer and truly earn it while differentiating yourself and just overall being a good business that attracts more clients, gets good referrals, and gets good reviews. And so you might be wondering, like, Tommy, you threw all this information at me. How do I get started? I'll just say a great place to get started is just my own YouTube channel. I have videos like how to start an AI agency in 30 minutes. That'll teach you how to set up everything A to Z to start selling your first chatbot, as well as I have my own sales scripts. You'll see in that video a link to my community. In there, you can get the sales scripts I personally use to close clients, as well as you'll hear me talk about all the processes I use. And if you already have stuff set up, you already have an AI agency, you can watch my build videos where I go over real use cases and how to build them for real businesses that I've serviced. Now, these are things I've literally sold to businesses. It can't get any more explicit than that in what to sell, how to build it, and how to sell it. I have it all on my YouTube, as well as I'm creating more content like this. And you can also join my community where I respond to every post in there and help you guys out as much as I can to seize this amazing opportunity we have. So I just want to say thank you guys. I'll link down below my how to start an AI agency in 30 minutes video, as well as my most popular build video, so you guys can get started and take action right now.